Hi there guys, Wayne here from Luna's World. Welcome to the sim, and today we're talking about VR performance. If you've seen my last 3 videos, you will see that I've had one video where I was getting awful frames, a very unpleasant experience and very frustrating and all the rest of it. And I know there's a lot of you experiencing the same kind of thing. And then I basically spent a whole day, maybe a day and a half, like trying to find a way to make it smooth, and I think I achieved it. I think I'm getting 35 to 45 frames in most areas now, which is a huge improvement. I was getting 18 to 20, 23 at most, and very stuttery. So yeah, so we're going to jump in. The first thing I recommend you do, and a lot of you won't want to do this, but I'm just telling you what I did, is I restored every setting, graphical setting, PC setting possible, and that includes overclocking. I did have a slight overclock on my CPU, and like I've said, I've gone into Nvidia app and restored all of the settings back to default. I then loaded in, and I basically started in a pretty demanding area. And then I went from low, this is all in VR mode, by the way, and I'll show you the settings as I talk. Went into here, started at low quality or low end, and then I always use DLSS, I think, with a 3080 or lower or older. I don't think it's possible to really run TAA mode and get really smooth results without reprojection mode on. So this is, again, just what I do. So I either set this to quality or balanced, or sometimes DLAA, which is the top mode for visuals. You can see here it's sharpening set to 130, reprojection mode is off, world scale 110, dynamic settings off, and then rendering, you can see it's mostly medium. I can bump these things down if I want, but you'll see my settings here. Where the hell? Where the hell are my other? What the hell? There we go. Does anybody else get that? Just settings disappearing and then coming back. So this is what I was looking for, terrain level of detail. 50 is quite a low number, but it gives me a really smooth performance. So I urge you, if you're struggling, like, really reduce this. Don't like having it up here or even above 100 is just not good. So I would say start with 50, and the same goes for these settings. I've stuck to these because I've done a lot of testing, and these were all on the lowest settings first, and I've bumped it up as I've got more headroom sort of within the FPS counter. So you can see the settings here. This is all kind of fairly standard stuff, you know. So I'm not going to talk about this too much. So the next thing I did, and you can do this, go into your mixed reality portal if you're running a G2 or any other mixed reality headset. Go to settings, headset display. This one is important. Make sure you're on low and 720 just to reduce, you know, the load on memory and things like that. This one I've set to let Windows decide. I didn't see a big difference between this one and let Windows decide, so I just thought, well, leave it up to the system then, and see how that goes. I've got this on best quality. I don't do any upscaling or anything, and then of course 90 Hertz. That is it for that. One huge thing, and this is a basic thing, don't ever have this on. Always make sure that this is paused so you don't have an active preview in here. That will absolutely kill your frame rate. So make sure you do that. Another basic thing, but make sure all of your drivers are up to date, especially Nvidia drivers, you know, firmware, all that stuff. Another thing that I did, I've been quite a big fan of MSI Afterburner, but now I can pretty much say for Microsoft Flight Sim 2024, I don't recommend it. I would say make sure it's killed in the background. Go into Task Manager, make sure it's completely killed. Don't run it. In fact, don't run anything that overclocks your GPU. Open up Task Manager and make sure there's nothing going on in the background that you don't need. And a big killer is Microsoft Edge. So I always just make sure I kill all of my browsing stuff, because browsers have, extensions and there's stuff going on in the background that maybe we don't know about. If you don't use Discord when you're flying, I would do the same thing. Go through anything that doesn't look like you need it. And that includes actually the Nvidia settings. Once we're going to go in here in a minute, but once we've set that, I always close that down. The other thing, click on Microsoft Flight Simulator, go to Details, right click again, and then set the priority to high, just like that, and click on Change. That will allocate the most amount of memory and resources to this program when it runs. It's just a good thing to do. I don't know whether it has a huge effect, but I think it's worth doing. It takes 2 seconds to do. So go ahead and do that. So let's jump into the Nvidia app. Let me double click here. Sounds obvious, but make sure you're up to date with your driver. The latest one, 566.36 at the time of this recording. Click on graphic settings and then go to global. Hit restore. And the only thing, once it's restored back, the only thing that I change is power management mode. Set that to maximum, prefer maximum performance. I've seen videos of people saying that doesn't make any difference. In fact, it can induce stutters. Don't do it. And Nvidia control panel as well. I find that it does make a difference on my machine. So I don't know, again, try it out and see what works for you. But that's all I change in here. Everything else, as you can see, is off. I don't know if this makes any difference. This is something I need to focus on and maybe check out and test a bit more. But again, for my settings right now, everything off. Go over to automatic tuning here. Again, switch this off first. And then maybe change some of these. If I restore it, you'll see that we've got performance limits here. So I've maximized the voltage, maximum power, and then I've also increased the temperature to 90 degrees. That's pretty safe for a GPU. You don't want to be going above 100. And then I just click auto tuning on as well, and it will do a scan. You can override that with this, but do a scan and it will select basically pretty much what I've just done here. And I highly recommend, once those settings are set and you're in Microsoft Flight Sim, close it down. But we're going to go to control panel first. Okay, now this again, click on restore defaults right here. Okay, that. And then we're going to go through. I don't touch any of this stuff. I only go to the refresh rate, make sure that's on highest. The only other thing is the power management mode. I click on that, prefer maximum performance, and it's already kind of configured anyway in the Nvidia app, but I do it here as well. This is under global settings. I don't do anything specific for Microsoft Flight Sim. Close that down. Okay, so the next thing is go down to your search bar, type in game bar, and it will bring this up. I'm not a fan of this. I don't use it for recording. I don't use it for monitoring my settings or anything like that. So what you should do, what I recommend, is close it. Oops. Click out of it. Right click on it and go to app settings and come down here and just terminate it. Just terminate it. And you can switch it off. And also, I say never to this. I don't want it to run in the background. So I click on never. That is game bar. Anyway, where were we? Yeah, go to your search bar, type in graphic, go to graphic settings, and change default graphic settings. Make sure HAGS or hardware accelerated GPU scheduling is on. Yeah, so make sure HAGS is on, close that down, and we're pretty much there. Now we're going to go into the OpenXR OpenXR tools settings. Now this isn't the toolkit, this is just the OpenXR tools. They're two separate programs. This is my settings here. Some people say set this to 200. I don't see the point of that. Latest preview on, motion reprojection disabled, and prefer frame rate over latency. That's all I do. I set that, and then I quit out of that. And then we have this little fella here. Now this is OpenXR Toolkit. I'm sure many of you are familiar with this already. If you're not, go and download it. And then let's jump into VR, and I'll show you the settings that I use inside the sim. All right, so I've got two overlays going on here. This is the Microsoft Flight Simulator one here. This is the mixed reality portal. I'm using this just so you can see the in-screen settings here. Now, I'm getting 31 frames. Obviously, when I've got both of those things open, it's hugely demanding on the system. If I switch off the preview, I'm locked at 45. You'll have to take my word for it. But yeah, so we're in VR now. So click whatever button you have decided on to get into the OpenXR toolkit, and just have a look at the settings here. This is all I use. So I like the advanced view on the overlay, just so that I can see exactly what's going on with the CPU as well as the GPU. My target frame rate set to 45. I don't do upscaling or sharpening or fixed foveated rendering. I do turn on turbo mode, and you have to, as the warning says there, make sure that you've switched off motion reprojection. Frame rate throttling is set to 45, and bear with me, I've just got to cycle through. Change nothing in here. I do override the resolution. Now this is quite important. I scale this down only a little bit, a tiny amount, and it seems to give me a big increase without any noticeable loss of resolution. Inputs, I put this over prediction 70%. That's just to stop the headset from shaking when I record. Appearance, I haven't messed around with, but you can change the appearance obviously within the headset itself. And you can see now when I put the headset on, let me just tighten things up. So yeah, 40, you're not going to be able to see this, but I'm getting 42. And again, I'm looking around. We've got heavy weather here. We've got rain. We're in a jet. There's a few stutters. But overall, very, very smooth within the headset. Now, the last piece of advice I would say is that VR is definitely not optimized well in Microsoft Flight Sim. There's definitely issues with it. You can see on screen now, even though I've just come out of VR, look how laggy it is on the screen. It's pretty unsmooth. I have issues with Mixed Reality Portal. If I close this down, you'll see that it will reset. You'll see everything is now beautifully smooth. There's no stutters at all. So that tells me that the Mixed Reality Portal is the cause of a lot of stuttering and performance issues within Microsoft Flight Sim. And it's no surprise then that a lot of Mixed Reality Portal users are the ones that are complaining about poor performance. So the workaround is you've got to reset this often, and possibly even reset your computer often. Definitely Mixed Reality Portal often, and the sim, you can see now I've started it up. Look how stuttery it is now. If I close the sim down and then come back in with mixed reality open, it's as if it's not open at all, and I get great performance. So that goes some way to explain, look at it, it's like a slideshow. That goes some way to explain why sometimes we get great performance and then other times it's super poor. I have a hunch that it's something to do with the audio drivers swapping. I don't know if this will work now because I'm recording and things never work properly when you record. You can see that it's got the headset speakers selected here. If I go to my headphones, yeah, this time it's not working, but often when I change the audio, this stuttering will go away. But again, once again, let me close this down. You'll see instantly it goes to smooth. So that's something to be aware of. It's a huge issue. I haven't seen anybody talking about this before. It seems to be an issue with the mixed reality portal and Microsoft Flight Sim 2024. It did also happen in 2020. I don't know. That's just my experience with it. But I would now have to close, if I wanted to go back into VR, I would now have to close the sim down, open the sim back up, then open mixed reality portal, and then it would be fine. It's kind of super annoying, but that is the reality of it. So every time you see one of my VR videos and it looks ultra smooth and beautiful, that's kind of what I do to get it that way. I restart everything from scratch. I make sure that there's no background programs going on. I disable pretty much as I can. And the moment I get any stuttering, I close down mixed reality portal and I close down the sim and I reload back in. And it's super annoying, but that's the reality of what it is for me on my system and probably yours too. So yeah, it's frustrating, guys. It really is, especially if you don't have a huge high-end system, you know, the latest tech. And even if you did, I think mixed reality portal would still cause issues. I'd be interested to know whether you guys are having that same issue as well. Yeah, so let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you've got any other tweaks or anything you know of, please let me know. But the main takeaway is get rid of any overclocking, get rid of any MSI afterburner or alike, reset everything to default, try it, start with low settings, build it up, add in what you can until you reach 40 frames, like to choose a high-end area, until you reach, you know, the maximum you can that you're happy with the visual fidelity, and stick with that. And then pretty much you'll be able to fly anywhere with nice, smooth settings. If you get any stutters, it's likely to do with mixed reality portal. Close it down, restart it, and hopefully you'll be away again. It's super annoying. Sometimes it just crashes. I get a lot of crashes with VR on my system, especially when I'm recording. It's just kind of part and parcel of it, I'm afraid, for now anyway. I hope VR becomes more of a priority to Azobo and Microsoft in the future, because it absolutely is the best way to enjoy this sim. When it works, it's amazing. When it doesn't work, it's the most frustrating thing in the world. I know. There's no like silver bullet, unfortunately. But try that methodology, try those settings. Hopefully it will help for you. Let me know in the comments if this has helped at all. If it hasn't, I apologize. This is what works for me on my system. That's it for now, guys. I'm going to go and do a couple of more creek runs, maybe in this jet. Lots more content coming your way soon. And take care. See you later.